Thanks a lot, Costo, and good morning, League fans. It is Tuesday, April 15, and as usual, a busy day in rugby league. In the news cycle, Lachlan Galvin is at the centre of pretty much everything at the moment. Lachlan Galvin has broken his silence, as we say in the journalistic trade, broken his silence, and he has. Let's see what he has said in a statement which was released overnight, England time. He said, "I totally understand my decision will frustrate many West Tigers fans, but please know that this wasn't an easy call to make." Now, if you don't know what's going on, Lachlan Galvin has been told the West Tigers have said he won't be there beyond next year, and he's the most talented junior they've had in ages. And it's been reported that he doesn't rate Benji Marshall's coaching. So we'll continue with this statement. "It is a decision that I've discussed at length with my parents and closest friends and family. I'm extremely grateful for the love and support in making this call. The biggest reason why I made this call now is so that West Tigers have enough time to plan their roster without me in future. That's the absolute truth of it. The club were eager to get a deal done, and so they called a meeting with my management last week. I could have mulled over this decision all season, but I didn't think that was the right thing to do. I thought it would be best for everybody to make the call now rather than drag it out. Any suggestion that I already have a deal done with another club in 2027 is simply not true. I'm extremely grateful to be able to go to work every day as an NRL footballer, and the West Tigers have played a massive role in the opportunity I have to play this game. I just feel that as I move into an important period of my development as a half, that I continue to build on my game at a different club. Again, I know this might be hard for some people to understand, but I make this decision in the best interests of my career." So there you go. He's made that statement. Now, later in the program, myself and Tony the Mole Adams are going to discuss this whole situation with Lachlan Galvin, a young kid deciding he doesn't want to stay in West Tigers. Now, what they've done overnight is they've dropped him. He's not playing first grade this weekend, and that's another issue altogether. Some people say, well, you know, you're here to win. You want to win games this week, and that recruitment and strategy on planning, on list management, should be separate from planning week to week to win a game. I've got to admit, I tend to see things that way myself. Also, on this program coming up, we're going to hear once more, because I have reason to believe not a lot of people heard this interview yesterday, Cedric Garcia, the CEO of the Toulouse Olympique, who have been, you know, one of two French clubs in the British pyramid, have been linked with either having their funding pulled or, even worse, being excluded from the competition they're in, which is the championship. But conversely, on the good news side of rumours, they've also been linked very heavily with NRL Europe and being promoted to what would be an elite 10-team competition in a couple of years' time. So what does Cedric Garcia know? We're going to listen to that interview, and then I'm going to tell you what I got out of it. That's what we're going to do. So before we go to the first break, let's go through a few birthdays in rugby league for today, April 15. There's a few familiar names on this list as we scroll down, and I've got to admit, these come from, I don't have to admit, I have to give them credit. They deserve credit. rugbyleagueproject.org. Go there for all your rugby league statistical information. Big prop from the North Sydney Bears, Paul Stringer, 49 today. Happy birthday, Paul. A fella who is still very high profile in the media, especially in the space we're in. I guess we're in the alternative media space on rugbyleague.com. Willie Mason, 45 today. Happy birthday, Willie. Another guy who is extremely high profile, Matty Pete, the Wigan coach, just 41 today. He's just a spring chicken. Sean Lunt, who is involved in, I think, the administrative side of the game a little bit now. Former Hull KR player, Batley, Leeds, Huddersfield, Warrington. Only 39 today. Blake Ashford from West Tigers, talking of West Tigers. Happy birthday, Blake. 37 today. And who else have we got? I thought we had one down here, another one down here I recognised, because there's a massive list here. You should check it out. There'll be players that you recognise that I don't. How about we give a mention to Brett LeMan, one of the original Broncos. He's 63 today, Brett LeMan. Happy birthday. So after this little break, we're going to come back and I'm going to give you a listen to what Cedric Garcia had to say to Mick Gledhill at the weekend, and then we'll discuss it, okay?
Well, we're now joined by Director of Rugby at Toulouse, Cedric Garcia. Good afternoon, Cedric. What's the latest in terms of your understanding on where everything is with the change at the RFL? Obviously, Simon Johnson's gone, Nigel Wood's come in. There's been a lot of rumour, conjecture that potentially Catalans and Toulouse might be getting the boot out of Super League and the Championship.
Good afternoon, Mick. Yes, there's many rumours, and I think on every subject with social medias now, you have rumours everywhere. You said this one. There's one about NRL also. I think there's only one thing to be said, that anything and everything can be possible. The working group led by Nigel has just started its work, and so they need time. They're gonna hear everybody. They're gonna listen to everybody, and hopefully find the best solution for everybody. What I can say is that Toulouse will always keep working for the good of the game, and so that French team gets better and that it can compete with the English team, which is one of the main goals of the rugby league in general in Europe and in Northern Hemisphere.
When we spoke pre-season, you said in the off-season you spoke with Simon Johnson, Tony Sutton, IMG. They still see a place for Toulouse. Obviously, Simon has gone, Nigel's come in. I'm led to believe you and Nigel had a lengthy conversation on Wednesday gone. Are you getting that same sort of love and warmth from Nigel as you did from Simon?
Well, Nigel has always said he was Frenchophile. So after Nigel knows he's very sound man, and he's gonna once again have a clear look at the situation and see what's going to happen. What we know is that at the moment we are still under IMG rules, and we keep working in that direction. If things change, we'll change at that time. But at the moment, promotion for now is guided by IMG rule, and we're working with this.
But in terms of Nigel and the implementation committee, I'm picking up that they want a strong Catalans, they want a strong Toulouse.
Well, I think Nigel wants a strong rugby. I'm not going to speak on his behalf, but I think he wants a strong rugby league in general, and for that he needs France strong. But once again, he has many different things to consider and to take on board, and I cannot answer on his behalf. What I know once again is that we've had this interesting meeting, and we'll work with whoever runs the RFL and the English leagues.
I know we've asked this question before, Cedric, but you know, when you look at rugby league and Super League and potential growth in terms of crowds and commercial revenue, broadcast revenue, a strong Catalans, strong Toulouse can play their part in that growth for the Super League.
Well, one main challenge is to we're not going to hide, is to generate revenue from France, and I thoroughly believe that we need to have two French teams in Super League to achieve that, because the French market is complicated and Catalans by themselves it's very tough. So that's why we're pushing, and I feel that if we want to once again achieve our goals, which are in common with RFL, we need to be both teams and work hard to achieve them.
On NRL Europe, has there been any dialogue, any communication from them?
No, not at all. Once again, we come back to rumours. There's many rumours. Maybe some are a bit true, some not. I don't know, and I don't really want to. I just want to concentrate on what we can master, and that's our club, and work once again hand in hand with the RFL.
When we spoke in the Toulouse media day right at the start of the season, you mentioned about you're going to change the marketing strategy, you're going to try and grow those crowds. You are averaging just under 4,000. You had that big near 6,000 crowd against Hunslet, 4,000 for the visit to Bradford. Are you pleased with how things are going on that front? Because it does look to me Toulouse are certainly being very, very active in marketing, rugby league in the Pink City, Toulouse.
Yeah, definitely. This was one of our big objective, big goal. And since my new chairman came in a bit more a year and a half ago, and yeah, really happy with that. Really happy also on the image we have. The new image we have on the social networks, because I believe it's young, it's dynamic, and a bit different to what everybody's doing. So happy with that. Working hard on bringing some crowd, on doing some events outside the main events, which is a game. Working on the students, which are huge in Toulouse. Second French city in terms of students, with 120,000 students. So yeah, happy with that, and quite happy with the attendance for now. We need to keep going because summer is coming, and it's tough in France to gather people around summer. So yeah, we will keep working and hopefully be around or above this 4,000 mark.
Cedric, thank you for your time. 15 minutes away from kick-off. Big game, Sheffield Toulouse, all the best.
Thanks, Nick.
So what did you think of Cedric Garcia with Mick Gledhill? I thought that what I got out of it was a lot of uncertainty. He described his meeting with the new Rugby Football League chairman, Nigel Wood, as interesting. He said that anything and everything could be possible in terms of the rumours swirling around the French clubs, and he had not heard from the NRL. I kind of, as I said yesterday, and I repeated the interview because I don't think many people heard, if anyone, heard yesterday. So I found it interesting that the NRL would be holding conversations with certain clubs where, certain clubs where they intend to have Toulouse in their competition, which I understand to be the case, but they're not talking to Toulouse. So it does suggest, it points in the suggestion, or points in the direction, that they are talking to Warrington and Wigan, and Warrington and Wigan are reporting back to the other, I believe, 6 teams who the NRL want, or maybe even only 5 with London. Now, that raises another question. I'll move on to London. I was at the London game on Saturday. They were beaten with 16 seconds left by Batley, somewhat symbolically, given that Batley was the host of this meeting of League One and Championship clubs last week, where all the discussion was about what was eaten and not what was decided. And the fans were becoming pessimistic about this deal, which is supposed to have been done and was supposed to be announced tomorrow, between the existing Broncos administration, the former Leeds chief executive, Gary Hetherington, and Gary Hetherington's associates in Australia, headed by Matt Adamson, who's come over to be head of football, CEO, whatever. No, he was unsighted on Saturday, and I hope he's still here. Hope it's still happening. Fans talk to officials. Fans talk to players. I'm not going to repeat, hearsay and that sort of situation, because it is unreliable. But there is some pessimism, and there is a fear that the postponement of the media launch is more than just the unavailability of a room. Let's put it that way. So all eyes on London Broncos, all eyes on the NRL, and I guess we'll try to keep you posted here on Good Morning League Fans. Love Scorpions. Went to see them last year at the Wembley Arena. They were dazzling. We were in the second row. It was dazzling. Okay, so what's going to come up now is the Mole, Tony the Mole Adams. I do a few videos a week for Tony on his YouTube channel, Moldy Adams, I think it is, if you're looking for it. And we discuss, the issues of the day, and Lachlan Galvin is one of the big issues of the day. When I spoke to him a few hours ago, I didn't speak to Lachlan Galvin. I did read a statement at the top of the show, though. If you missed that, you have to listen to it on the podcast. But no, when I spoke to Tony Adams, we talked about Lachlan Galvin, about the club's decision to say that he wouldn't be with West Tigers beyond the end of next year. And so we're going to have a listen after this little ad break. We're going to have a listen to Tony and myself discussing that issue, and love to hear your opinions. Come and visit us on social, rugbyleague.com on spell the dot out on Instagram, /rugbyleaguecom on Facebook, and at rugbyleaguecom on Twitter. Love to hear your opinions on Lachlan Galvin. And also, after that, we're going to hear myself and Tony discussing Spencer Leniu and him having a go at Johnathan Thurston at the end of last week at Suncorp Stadium over things Johnathan Thurston said regarding the racism row with Ezra Mam a year ago or 13 months ago now. We can't really... Look, if you're not up on that, I'll invite you to Google it between now and the next sort of 5 minutes, because the show would be over if I went through that in chapter and verse. But anyway, we'll take a little bit of a break now. We'll do some business with the world because we're a global radio station. And then actually, we're going to listen to Pat Benatar, and then we're going to listen to the Mole. And then we're going to take an ad break, and then we're going to hear myself and the Mole talk about Spencer Leniu. You got that? Now, you have some new breaking developments on Lachlan Galvin. For those who've been living under a rock, he's the half at West Tigers, and West Tigers have said that he won't be with them beyond next season.
Yeah, that's right. And it's actually beyond the end of next season. But just on that, I doubt very much he'll be there at the beginning of next season because... the word has come out that he doesn't rate Benji Marshall, basically, or him and his manager, Isaac Moses, don't rate Benji Marshall. They probably don't rate your mate Richo either, seeing they didn't even look at his offer. So I think it's untenable, the situation. But that's not my story. Everyone's speculating where he's going to be going next year. And for my 2 cents, I am quietly confident he'll be at Manly. And the reason for that, he's a proud Westfield High School graduate, which is a big school here in Sydney, big sports school. He represented Australian schoolboys from there. And two of his coaches from Westfield, Wayne Lampkin and Steve Hales, also happen to be on the Manly Warringah coaching staff. And then on top of that, we have Anthony Seibold, who is coached by Isaac Moses, and Lachlan Galvin, coached by Isaac Moses. So you do the math, Steve. I think Manly are pretty good favourites, particularly as they're losing Daly Cherry Evans. And by that stage, by the time he gets there, Luke Brooks will be quite a veteran. So they'll need a young halfback for sure.
Yeah, and it's another reason why you should follow this channel. If you go back about 3 videos, you'll see we had a video called Where Galvin's Going and Where He's Not, and that was Tony telling us why, he wanted out at West Tigers, his agent's on bad terms with the club, etc., etc. So you would have known about all this a couple of weeks ago if you had subscribed to this channel, and if you did, thank you. Where does that leave Jamal Fogarty then if he's not going to Manly?
Yeah, well, they might take them both, considering Cherry Evans is definitely gone and Brooks is, he'll be 31, 32 by that stage. I think he's on a 2-year deal, which ends next year. So, there's room for both of them.
The issue that everyone was talking about was Johnathan Thurston and Spencer Leniu having words at Suncorp Stadium about, opinions expressed by Johnathan Thurston, maybe opinions not expressed by Johnathan Thurston. I know people have been writing about whether the NRL should intervene. People have been writing about whether it's okay to go up to someone in that circumstance and have a go at him, or whether you should have done it in private, whether he should have rang him, whether Johnathan Thurston should have spoken to the coach about it of Sydney Roosters or not, whether he should have done the interview, whether he should have gone to the sheds as he was planning to. What do you think? What can you tell us?
Well, Steve, it's become a media war, which here in Sydney is becoming more and more common. Johnathan Thurston, of course, works for the Nine network, which also has the Herald and 2GB. Spencer Leniu is at the Roosters, a club closely aligned via Nick Politis with News Limited. So both sides have been taking the opportunity to fire pot shots at each other. I exchanged messages with JT today. He's still pretty rattled by it, I've got to say. Everything was off the record, so I can't reveal what was said. But no one's actually lodged a complaint with the NRL. So the NRL's just sort of sitting back and saying, well, what can we do if no one complains? But it's not a great look for the game, is it, when a player abuses a past great with rather unseemly language, shall we say.
Yeah, Tony, it's quite interesting because people say, oh, he's being two-faced because he criticised him and then he tried to interview him. Interviewing people is your job. If you're on the sideline at a rugby league game on TV or radio, you don't have to like them and they don't have to like you. It's your job to approach them for an interview. Now, Spencer Leniu may not think it's his job to answer. That's fair enough. But it's not two-faced to offer an honest opinion and then to approach someone for an interview. It is consistent because both of those things are in your job description. It's what you've got to do. Now everyone says you don't have to get on with everybody. If you're unhappy with somebody, you can. It's a free world, or what used to be. You can tell them. You can tell them you're not happy with something they said or something they did. So the big question is, where you draw the line, what sort of language is abusive, and what is, unprofessional. And in our day, Tony, and we got it plenty of times, if someone was upset with you, they'd ring you up and they'd tell you as soon as they were upset with you. Now I think in rugby league's full of frenemies. It's full of people who pretend to be nice to each other, but actually, don't like each other. And it's only if I can get someone else to agree with me that Tony Adams was an arsehole to me, then I might be angry. I feel like I've got support, and then I'll give you grief. If I feel like not going to have any support, I find the way people react in the game is I'd still pretend to be nice to you, even though I'd be, privately seething. But I really do wish we go back to the day where if you had a problem with someone, that you would you just take it up. You'd ring them. Now, someone said, well, why doesn't Johnathan Thurston, why didn't he ring Spencer Leniu after critics saying he should have been suspended for longer last year for racial abuse? I don't think in life you can walk around ringing people and saying, are you upset with me? I don't think that's a good policy in life. I think if you're upset with someone, you should take it up with them if you're going to run into them again. And if it's going to impact other people when you run into them again. Clearly, this has impacted a lot of other people because it's blown up to be such a big story. And I do wish we would get back to the days when you rang someone when you had an issue with them and you sorted it out then and there. Things would be a lot easier.
Yeah, for sure, Steve. I mean, we come from an era where you walked in the dressing rooms and there were 13 players there, and quite often a player or two might not have liked the story I wrote the previous week, and they'd yell abuse at me. I'd go up and have a chat with them. Sometimes I managed to talk them down, other times you didn't, but you tried to sort it out. But yeah, in this modern day era where things are very sanitised, it's a very different vibe. In fairness to JT, I had a look at that story he wrote last year, and he did say that Spencer Leniu should be suspended for a longer time. But interestingly enough, and no one's brought this up, in the same story, he said that people should check on Spencer's well-being because he was obviously rattled by the whole thing and stressed by the whole thing. So an interesting side like that. JT was also concerned about, both players involved in that rather unsavoury incident.
Bit of breaking news on the Lachlan Galvin situation while we've been on air. News Limited reporting that it was a player-driven decision for him to be omitted from the team this weekend. The reports are saying that it was Jerome Luai and Api Coruscant who approached the coach, Benji Marshall, saying he can't be in the team this weekend. So there you go. Intrigue deepens at West Tigers. Another thing that has happened in the last 24 hours, which we haven't mentioned so far on the program, is Jared Warrior-Hargraves deciding to retire. Here is his statement. He's retiring at the end of the year, not immediately. Don't panic, whole KR fans. He says, as I reflect on my journey and 18 seasons in rugby league, I have so much gratitude for the game itself. Rugby league has given me the honour of representing my country, lifelong friends and memories that I'll cherish forever. To Manly, thank you for giving me my first opportunity as an 18-year-old. To the Roosters, my home, thank you to Robbo, Nick and everyone who was part of my time at the club. Your support and guidance has shaped me into the player and, more importantly, the man I am today. To my current club, Hull KR, thank you for giving my family and I this opportunity. It has already exceeded all expectations, and I'm looking forward to finishing off the 2025 season with the lads. To the fans, I've been incredibly lucky to have been supported wherever I've played. Thank you for your support over the years. And finally, to my wife, kids and family, Thank you for your unwavering support every step of the way. I love you very much and look forward to our next chapter. Thanks, Jared. What a great warrior he had. Well, there you go. Jared Warrior Hargraves. Jared Warrior Hargraves. And he's also been one of the nicest. I'll say this before we go back to the music. The only player in all my time as a sideline eye who, when I approached someone else for an interview on the field at full time that he was talking to, he stopped the conversation and pointed to me and said, "You better go talk to this fella." Only ever happened once. The only guy whoever did that, and all the time I was a sideline eye. So hats off to you, Jared. And we're almost finished. It is April 15, Tuesday, and you're on rugbyleague.com. Just want to tell you what's coming up. Firstly, at midday, you can hear Andy Raymond's fantastic unfiltered show where it is Dream Team Day on Tuesday. So he asks a current or past player, I won't say future, he hasn't got a DeLorean, so just past and present player about to pick their best players 1 to 13. So always really interesting listening there with Andy Raymond's Unfiltered. And he is on at midday UK time, Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday. It's a legend on Monday. It's Dream Team on Tuesday, and it is a super pod where he talks to about 12 different players on Wednesday. So make sure you always tune in midday. Now, this weekend, our games, we started our coverage with 2GB last weekend. Fantastic to have those guys on board. You know, Mark Levy and Matty Thompson and Mark Riddell and Mark Geyer and all these fantastic commentators and identities in our game. And they will be back on Friday for Canterbury versus South Sydney from Accor Stadium. The Dolphins taking on Melbourne from Suncorp Stadium. And then again, they're backing up all Easter. Warriors in Brisbane from Go Media Stadium on Saturday. On Saturday. Sydney Roosters versus Penrith from Allianz Stadium on Saturday. And then our own Jason Costigan will be bringing you all the news and every play as well. All the pre-match news, play-by-play commentary, everything that you need to know. From Catalans and Salford, I did the same match at the same venue just last week in the Challenge Cup. They're back in Super League, those two teams. That's on Saturday evening UK time. Sunday, we've got Newcastle versus Cronulla from McDonald Jones Stadium. And then on Easter Monday, it's West Tigers in the news against Parramatta from CommBank Stadium. We're having a ball here on rugbyleague.com. As you can see, we are building things incrementally, building up our capabilities. This is, I think, the first live Good Morning League fans that we've done here from our lounge room in London. Well,